Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I will be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Censor. This is a horror film from the UK? Question mark, Caitlin? I just assume from all those fancy accents.
Yes.
And it is set in the olden days, back in the 1980s, during the video Nasties craze, which is an interesting thing for all you kiddies.
It was a craze.
Yeah, all you kiddies out there to learn about if you haven't. We're going to talk about that coming up here soon. But first up, joining me in the show, please welcome Caitlin to the show.
Hello.
Next up from Maryland, please welcome John Schnars to the show.
Hello, Eric.
Hello, John.
I'm really excited about my camera angle now.
I am too. I am as well.
So are we.
Yeah. It just doesn't look like you're about to get jump scared at any given moment. Next up, please welcome from Indiana, Mr. Casey.
Hello.
And last up tonight from Chicago, Illinois, please welcome Joe.
All right, John, it's a dating app, right? It's a dating app for people based in Texas called Pick of the Gallo.
It's kind of sexist, though, Joe. It's only, what about the...
Well, Leslie had this complaint too when I was like workshopping it as a singles bar, and I'm like, it's just a clever name. Like, obviously, it's not gonna like block people out. You know?
What if it was?
I think it works.
Pick of the guy / gal / bring yourself,
Well,
whatever you
then
are.
you're
Hold on.
ruining the
Guys.
name.
Easy solution. It's a gay singles bar.
Oh,
Pick of the guy.
I mean, I guess like women could also come in, but
yeah. I had this conversation
We need
with
to be
Leslie. And I
inclusive
tossed
here,
that
John.
out. It's
It
like,
doesn't-
I
we're not
figured
gonna
you worked on that, but
we're not gonna turn people away at the door. You know,
It's a funny
just-
joke. Doesn't really work in real life. How about we just say that?
Look, I'm here for it.
Yeah, thanks, John.
I like the
All right.
effort Joe's putting in on this one. So.
All right, one investor. I got one investor.
And I hear commercial real estate is cheap right now, Joe. So
Ah,
All right, Joe. Speaking of gay bars, please tell us what we are drinking tonight.
Beer guts.
oh, we're drinking some beer, Eric. That's what we do here in Beer Gods. And what is it? Censor. A movie, as you know, you've already mentioned about the Nasties scare in the UK in the 80s, I guess. I don't really know much about it, and I didn't learn much about it from this movie. But pretty much we follow a woman who serves on their, I guess what you would call like their MPAA or whatever their sort of censors board is, as she watches and, determines if movies should be shown. When you're watching a movie, John, you need a beer and you need a big hot bucket of popcorn, which is why I picked the beer from the good folks at Moore Brewing Company. They're in Villa Park, Illinois, which, I'm sure you've all visited. The beer is simply called Popcorn. Yeah, don't ask me why. It's an IPA, kind of straightforward, hopped with Citra and Simcoe. I'm probably saying them wrong, but two different veritables of hops that they that they put in there. So I think I've talked a lot recently about like West Coast IPAs and New England IPAs and kind of this trend of kind of taming down a bit of like the bitterness and like the power that you get from just like a hardcore IPA. This one just doesn't give a fuck, John. Comes in at 6.8% alcohol, so it's up there. And also just a huge punch of like that hop bitterness and sort of piney flavor that you get there. A lot of Citra, as you might expect from the hops that we're discussing here. All around, just a great beer. And if you kind of miss like the straightforward IPAs that were all the craze, 10 years back or so, this is a great one for you. Moore Brewing Company doesn't distribute super far, so you got to come to Illinois for them. But they're getting bigger and bigger. They're one of the more popular in this area, and I'm waxed and ready for sax. If you want to come out here, and I'll wave as you drive by. I don't want to see you or spend time with you, but I'll definitely be like, hey, there you are.
Sax.
You'll have a beer in your hand while.
Yeah,
drinking.
yeah. I'll be like, hey, I won't tell you where I am. I'll potentially go to wherever you're going to drive by.
No,
later.
you tell me where you're driving.
Yeah. So, I'll be there at some point. Probably not when you're driving by, but in general, come out and visit them. Great brewery, the great food there. So highly recommended everything that they do. Morebrewing.com is their website, and there you go.
All right. Thank you for that, Joe.
You sound exhausted, Eric.
What is,
from that,
I am. It's been a long day. What does sax mean? Like you're going to play instruments with John?
Yeah. That's what I was assuming.
Some woodwinds?
One is the loneliest number. That's the alternate.
See,
title
that
for it.
I like.
Yeah.
That I like a lot.
But again, like you're just male. I don't
Yeah,
think there's a lot of
that's
females
true.
anymore.
George
Juanita is the loneliest
Juana.
number.
I believe Juana. is
Juana
also-
and Juanita.
Juana.
Yeah.
All right, so it could be like those. You ever seen like those strip clubs that are like one side is man, the other side is female? It could be.
You just pick the door you want to go in.
I've not
Yeah.
actually seen that.
You
but
pick the door you want to
I'm not
go
shocked
in.
it's a
You
thing.
pick the door you want to go in, but it's like Express or something, where it's just the same store.
Yeah.
Just different doors.
There
Juana
is
is the loneliest number.
Juana. There is a strip club up in Milwaukee that next door is a comedy club, and all the food that they serve at the comedy club comes from the strip club. So like you see like the hamburgers being brought like through like the strip club floor and everything as it's being served over there.
Cool.
Great place.
Cool.
Check it out.
All right, maybe put it on the list. All right, guys. It is time. Let's take a quick break and discuss Censor.
This is it, Senator. Your big break in TV. Come to prime time. Main feature.
John Schnorrs.
Eric,
How you feeling these days, buddy?
I get to start paying rent again in New York
Fun.
on Thursday.
Yay!
But you're not
Big
moving in.
doings.
You're not moving in until the end of summer. Is that right?
Yeah, thereabouts. We're gonna move our stuff up in July.
Are they going to make you go back to the office?
Dude, they couldn't keep me out of the office.
I don't know what that means. What you just said.
You realize, Eric, I live with 3 children,
that's right,
7
that's
and
right.
under.
I
Like,
got it, yeah,
I'm not like
yeah.
getting work done around the house.
Sure.
Like, so
Fair.
yeah,
Okay. Noted.
yeah.
You gonna
Uh,
cut the hair before you go back in?
Don't do it.
Yeah, it's still so the line was always I was gonna cut it when I got back to New York. I got to go see my barber. I was gonna have him do it.
Yeah.
Now Suzanne, she's like, hey, you
No.
don't have to cut the hair.
Oh, you look disgusting. So
No, I
you
don't.
should.
Joe, the reality is I don't want to take care of this hair
Yeah.
that much.
John,
and
let
especially
me
in New York. It's a
let me
pain in the ass.
reframe this for you, John. You look
Mhm.
like a guy who's living by his own rules, and Joe doesn't
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
Fine. I get it.
100% seriousness. If you don't cut it by the time we have our next meetup, I'm quitting the show. Like, I'm not coming. Like, I'm not traveling across the country to see like that fucking mop.
John,
alright?
Joe needs you to conform. Okay,
Yeah. No,
The
I hear
pandemic is
ya.
over.
I hear it.
it's time to be normal again, John. For Joe.
But I appreciate that he's straight up about it. It's not like
Yeah.
he's beating around the bush. Like it's very
We don't take our trips on LSD, John. All right.
For the right,
True.
for the
You are an
right,
OG,
for the right
I've ever-
Patreon, for the right Patreon goal, could we get some Skrillex hair? Maybe.
Oh no, there's no way.
What if we just do it as you're cutting it, and then and then you just get a nice high and tight.
I could document.
That's what I'm saying.
different. I don't know versions.
Yeah.
I mean, you could
I don't
do
think I'm
like
gonna
the
cut, like,
the locks of love or something, right? Like you could do like
It's got to be like you got to have like 10 inches to donate. Or
I think it's
something
like
that.
at least 8 inches.
Yeah.
Merkins of Hope.
Ladies.
You could definitely do
Yeah.
Merkins of Hope. Yeah, I think you got a real solid Merkin on that head of yours.
Sounds like
There
a
you
personal problem, John.
Merkins of Hope. John. Oh, good Lord! Please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, I'm very excited.
8
What?
inches like stretched out or like what are we talking here?
I'm very excited for the word. I don't want Joe to take this in the wrong direction at this point. The word is boulderize.
Oh,
That's Bowdlerize, boulderize. It's a verb, means to remove material that is considered improper or offensive especially with the result that the text becomes weaker or less effective. Bolderize. So I'd heard this word, but I had no idea where it came from, and it's the most fascinating part. So it comes from the UK, it comes from Britain, mid 19th century, from the name of Dr. Thomas Boulder, who published an expurgated edition of Shakespeare in 1818. So basically, this guy.
Yes, that.
I think he just he thought it was a little too nasty, let's say, and so he cleaned up Shakespeare and then published it back in 1818.
Seems like a fun guy.
Yeah, he was a good hang, I think.
Yes.
So you might say he
Avid
censored
runner, I believe he also was.
Yeah.
He started the Boulder Dash.
Thomas Boulder. Yeah, there you go.
You know, I'll give you that, Joe. That's pretty good.
On a roll tonight, buddy.
I literally said the same thing to Leslie upstairs. I'm like, I'm on fire tonight, right?
I'll let you know what my mom says.
Okay.
Bolderize.
I love it. Thanks, John. Before we do synopsis, Caitlin, you were poking around a little bit. Did you find anything interesting about this movie?
I found at least one thing. So this feature film was preceded by a short called Nasty that touches on the same themes.
Nasty.
I guess your definition of interesting in mine, Caitlin.
Joe, I gave you so much credit just now.
Okay,
good.
thank you. John?
Yeah.
Yes, Eric.
What happens in this movie? What's it about?
Censor comes to us from first-time feature director Prano. Anyone want to take a stab at? It's a woman, young lady, Prano Bailey Bond. She's the writer and director, so an auteur, if you will. This at least it hit my radar because it made its debut at least again here in the U.S. at least at Sundance this year, and got some good buzz. I mean, I think it was part of their midnight, whatever they call their genre offering over there at Sundance. But got some good buzz. I think this was who the hell picked it up? I know it was right in front of the movie. Now I'm going to forget. In any event, it got picked up for distribution. It's available in theaters right now. I know, Caitlin, you said you saw it in the theater. I rented it on Amazon, but c'est la vie. So this features
C'est la vie indeed, John.
Well, it's interesting that this where we're at now in terms of what's getting theatrical releases and what's not. I don't know. It's all.
I was kind of blown away that Caitlin saw in the theater, but yeah, like she's mentioned, it's like a little indie theater, right, Caitlin? That's up right next to the other one.
Yeah, it's like a combo. So we've got the big theater that shows, like Fast and Furious was playing. And then there's a little theater called Criterion right next to it that plays smaller stuff. So.
Well, so this movie tells the story of Enid. Enid Baines is a censor. She's working for the British organization, as Joe mentioned, sort of like their version of the MPAA, that is tasked with watching films that are set for release or seeking release in the UK. And Eric, I actually I was familiar with the video nasty stuff. I mean, at a very high level.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a chance to kind of read up and kind of refresh myself. So I don't know how much all of this is sort of based in reality.
Yes,
but essentially, there was this moment where there was a real moral panic going on in the UK where they were attributing a lot of violence or a potential rise in violence to
go ahead.
Well, to what was being put out in film, and I think a lot of it was tied to VHS and sort of the change in technology and the ability for things to get broader, wider distribution. Yeah. And so they were trying to run everything. And so a lot of the stuff that she's watching maybe they were getting theatrical releases in some cases, but a lot of them.
Let me preface. A lot of them were so low budget, it would have never been in a theater, but it would have shown up in a video store. Yeah. And I'll preface anything I say tonight with I am not an expert on this because people get upset when I speak as if I know a lot about something. People get upset on the internet, John. Did you know that? It's weird.
No, this is why.
But I did when I was in I guess college and I was really learning a lot about the genre through online communities. I remember doing a ton of reading on the video nasties. The biggest thing that kind of differentiates it from here is that there was a list. The video nasties, I believe, is in reference to this list that was made by the censors of like actual banned movies. So they were movies that for years and years you could not even get in the UK unless you imported them. That slowly, I remember this was like late 90s, early 2000s. I remember there were still movies that had not come out. And that has been a slow process as sort of DVD and Blu-rays come onto the scene. Movies that weren't banned were like heavily, like as Americans, we think of, if you watch horror films throughout the 80s, they become progressively more cut. Like it's a really great, just watch Friday 13th. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, incredibly violent. You start to see it get curbed a little bit in 5. By the time you get to 6, most like full gore shots are like totally cut. 7, 8, almost like largely goreless in a lot of ways. And then that takes you through the 80s because it's a good marker because there's one almost every year for the 80s. But what we knew as like heavy censorship, I don't think really compares to what was going on. It was more extreme over there is my point that I'm trying to make.
Well, and there was,
Crazy,
to your
like,
point,
I'm looking at like a list of it now, and there's like stuff that still hasn't been released in like 2000 or 2021.
Yeah, like I seem to remember like The Burning was one of them.
Yeah.
Cannibal
That's definitely on here.
Holocaust, like stuff like that.
And then there's
do you
stuff that
think
just
they
had,
just
like,
are kind of like, why are we gonna, what are we bothering for at this point?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's very interesting too from a globalism and kind of like cultural exchange aspect because the majority of these movies are coming from here and getting imported over there, like sent over there basically.
Well, in any event, all right, let's try to get through because I think it's worth coming back to some of this. And the film, it's not that the film explores it, but the film is set in. I mean, it does. It plays with. Some of the stuff
It's in the
but,
milieu, John.
Yes, the milieu. Yes. But so Enid is one of these censors, so she's watching this stuff constantly, and so a lot of the film is about like sort of what's happening to her and what's going on in her
It's part of the
mind.
terror of this movie, John.
I'm just gonna ignore what you're saying at this point and go forward. But
Is that the rural juror?
Terror.
the element. So there's that piece where she's a censor, hence the title. We also sort of come to realize. So she's like a single woman. She doesn't have like a lot going on in her life other than being a censor. She's working a ton. It's very stressful because there is this like moral panic element going on. At one point, there is reporting, like news reporting, on the radio. You get a lot of like snippets of the radio and the newspaper and some of the TV stuff that there was a murder, and the people, like the police said that the murderer had watched a movie that she had recently like allowed for release.
I think he cited the movie, right? Like he even said like this.
Yeah, but then it comes back like later in the film. They're like, actually, it turns out he didn't watch it or something like that. I mean, it is, it's played with for sure. But in any event, the other element that's going on that we come to realize, sort of let's say by like midway through the film, is that this woman Enid has had a loss in her life. So we meet her parents. She like meets them for this like very depressing dinner where they basically tell her that they're filing a death certificate, or they've obtained a death certificate for her sister, who has been missing for, I believe, 15 years at this point. And so what's sort of revealed through some flashbacks and some, hallucinations that Enid begins to have is that she was with her sister when her sister disappeared as a 7-year-old. And that begins to sort of, that trauma begins to bleed into her work when she sees this film. It's called "Don't Go Into the Cabin," I believe. Is that
Church?
Don't go into the church.
Don't go into the church. And she.
Did you watch this?
It basically follows like exactly what had happened to her and her sister, or at least what she remembers. She's like sort of blocked a lot of it out, or she's been trying to not remember, and so that kind of sets her on this path of unwinding, let's say, and that really kind of becomes the trajectory of the film.
All right, Caitlin, what'd you think?
So I was very excited to see this, partially because it looked visually really cool, it looked art housey, and also because it was my first theater experience since Invisible Man in March 2020.
Wow. Wild.
I know, crazy to think about. I liked it okay. I think I was expecting to love it. The things I liked about it, the lighting was really cool. I really enjoyed the styling and the costuming. And Eric, I think I had mentioned that I need to defer to you on the vocabulary here, but I like the way that their filmmaking and like the transitions they used between like reality and fantasy kind of looked like the distortions that you get on a VHS tape sometimes, which I thought was a cool touch.
Yeah,
So,
the,
I mean,
the main movie has like a grainy kind of look that you would have had from film from that era, and then they do cut to like full on VHS style at some point, like during these
yeah,
movies.
which is cool. I mean, that's a cool touch and kind of, you know, it's engrossing in a way. So like stylistically, I really liked it. I think one thing I also mentioned over email was the sound. We hear her like picking at her skin and gulping and breathing really heavily a lot. So her anxiety is really palpable, which I enjoyed. I think where I got a little bit bored, and this might just be that I've hit saturation point personally for this, but I feel like we're sort of in this same scenario that we've been in with movies like Saint Maud, where it's like, do we trust our main character? Like, do we trust her mental state? Is she seeing things for what they actually are? And is she going to be like this hero for her sister, or is she kind of nuts? And I think like movies like Saint Maud did that so perfectly. And I don't know if I'm just kind of over the shtick. But I was just kind of like, it, you know, it just didn't land as it didn't resonate, I think, as much as it could have for me. So I expected to totally flip for it, and it was cool, but it wasn't, you know, it's not going to be my number one for the year. And when we get into spoilers, I do want to talk about I was very certain of one aspect of this movie, and I think I might have been the only one that thought so. So we can get into that later.
Joe.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I definitely agree with everything Caitlin is saying. I'm probably a little more warm on this. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really liked the main actress, who, full disclosure, I thought was like 3 different actresses at one point or another during this. But I think the one complaint I probably have, and John, I think, you know, you brought it up over emails, like, I found her job actually be like super interesting, like to the point where I would have actually liked to have seen a movie just about that without like the horror elements, which I think was like a little bit of my frustration, because like that there's a lot of setup, right? Like we kind of go about her day for like the first half hour, and this movie's only like an hour and 25 or so. And I found that super interesting. And then they don't give a ton of backstory on like what the video nasties were, like what exactly is going on. Like, you know, obviously you can kind of pick up on what's happening here, but like, I think I would have enjoyed a little more kind of delving into, you know, how this all started and why we're here. But that's obviously not the focus of the movie. But I think I 100% agree. Like, I really enjoyed kind of the feel of this and the look. I thought the kind of jumping back and forth between like that VHS look and, you know, just a lot of that was really enjoyable. So after watching this, I was a pretty big fan.
Casey.
I ended up loving this movie, kind of. The further I get away from it, the more I find myself thinking about it and trying to piece it together, especially going through like our combos and emails, which I think is always a good indicator in my head for a story that I've enjoyed when I find myself 2 or 3 days later. I think I watched this on Sunday night and I'm still kind of mulling it over, figuring out what's happening. It's a really pretty package. They put together a really cool look and atmosphere to this movie, and I think that everybody that was involved did really well. I liked how they played with the video nasties idea and that bit of history, and kind of blew out from that and built something around it. I think they made the movie look like it came from that era, which was really good, and a lot of the effects and stuff that they used. And I was really kind of sucked into it. And I think the ambiguity that they give us here, because we've kind of talked, and we'll get into it in the spoiler section, I think the ambiguity they kind of laid out through this movie really helps add to the anxiety and tension of it, because you don't really know for sure what Enid's been going through, and you don't really know for sure if she's reacting in a good way or a bad way or what's going on. And I thought that left me kind of wondering what the hell's going to happen all the way to the end of the movie, which is kind of refreshing, because you can usually, a lot of movies we've watched lately, you can predict in the first 10-15 minutes.
Yeah. John Schnars.
Yeah, I am probably, I don't know. I started where Caitlin was, and I am like migrating closer to the like Casey Joe side. I mean, And I think Casey's point about, this being a movie where there is a lot to unpack. It's a trim movie. Like I
Yeah.
think it's listed at an hour and 24 minutes. And one of the things I had mentioned when we were kind of pre-discussing, I would have sat for longer. Like I was like sort of, I think Joe, as you mentioned, like there's a lot of parts of this where it's rare where I'm like, hey, cool, like give me 10 more minutes in this movie. But there did feel like it felt like there was room to do that. A lot of it's because they bite off a lot to try to work through, right? So, and I'm curious, Joe, I think you mentioned the video nasty stuff and the background around that. It's not something that's been like covered a lot in movies because like it happened in the UK, and so maybe for a British audience, like it would have felt like overkill if they were, doing that. But here, I think it probably plays differently. And again, I was probably down for it. I love the way they worked in all the like snippets and shots. And I think Joe, you had, found where they credited a ton of different movies in the credits. So I think they are probably just like real scenes where they got permission to use them.
I don't know. It looked recreated to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, I don't know why then they're crediting all those movies.
Why, unless they teamed with a bunch of like indie horror filmmakers to do small segments, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, some of those clips were super short, right? I mean, you're talking like 1-2 second shots. In any event, I thought that was all interesting. The like workplace environment, because there's a little bit of like workplace humor. Like there's the like guy who sort of inappropriately tries to pick her up after watching like some gory movie together. Like I don't know. There's like a lot of different elements that sort of gets just pushed to the side when you kind of dig into her personal story, which ends up, being the only story at the end of the movie. She didn't, and I think Caitlin, your point about this being a character arc that we've seen before, I totally agree with. And I think that's where maybe there was an opportunity to do a little more, to go a little deeper, and I don't know, give it a different flavor. I mean, it has a different flavor, as you said. I think the design, the art direction of this, the cinematography is really well done, and a lot of the effects, they're not practical effects; it's more like editing effects. But I don't know, it was fun. I ended up liking this probably a good bit.
Yeah, it's a really interesting film. I think that the lead actress is really she does a really good job in this role. I think I really liked the background noise of the video nasty stuff, the way they kind of weave that in and make it just all adds to the atmosphere of the time. I'm kind of obsessed with this really weird like Censor's office that they work in. That literally just looks like an old ass house filled with smoke, and there's like literally in their kitchen, it just looks like a 70s kitchen or something. And they're always like, they just sit in dank rooms and smoke cigarettes and like watch movies. It's kind of funny. I dig that like atmosphere kind of part of it. I think that I enjoy the style. I like the retro style of it. It really is like, I think it builds tension, and I think there's like some mystery to it in a way that is pretty intriguing. I think that the trailer oversells the style. Like the trailer's all style, and I think it makes it just look like this crazy neon, like synthwave, just bonanza, but it's not really. Like I was surprised to find a movie set in this period with as minimal of a score as there is here. Like there's actually not that much music, which kind of, considering how musical the trailer was a little surprising. But I really enjoyed it. I just think for me, the third act, I don't get the third act. I don't necessarily like where it went. Like I was kind of hoping that she wasn't crazy. And I mean, look, you could even, there's, to Caitlin's point, there's depth in it anyway, even with what they presented, as far as the way that you could interpret it. But in particular, just this actor dude that's like in the movie, I don't,
Are you talking about Beast Man?
Maybe the point is that it's supposed to be corny, I guess, because like it is just a movie theoretically. But like, man, there's so much. Because to me, the film just builds and builds tension, and the second that dude starts doing his thing, it's like, what is going on? Like
it's a little goofy. Yeah,
I scrunched my face up a little bit. Yeah. So I do though like there's this thing they do in the third act where both by accident and intentionally, she causes the same kind of carnage that she's been watching in the movies. And I really like that dichotomy of her being like, oh, like looking at it and being like, holy shit. Because like so much of the movie is about, oh, we have to cut this much of the eye stabbing and this much of this. And it's this over the top thing. But then to actually see it happen that's a neat plot thread to sort of come full circle. So I think it's promising, and it's in some ways is pretty enjoyable. I'd probably recommend it. There's just ways that I think it kind of falls short of what it could have been.
So
Well,
I
I
was
do want
kind
to
of
say,
sorry. No, I was just gonna say I was kind of spot checking some of those movies that they flash in the credits and the list of video nasty, and like a bunch of these are actually from like the 70s and stuff, credited as either being like
interesting.
edited or just not released. So
Nice.
well, I do want to, like, I didn't dislike the movie. I don't want to be the one that's like,
you defend your
I
opinion,
hate it.
you
Caitlin.
said what you said, Caitlin. All right.
I really liked the end where she's like sort of fantasizing this like literal rainbow
Cool.
life because there's a rainbow over her
I did
parents'
like that.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
The
I,
look on her face, like during that scene, was just like, holy shit. Like you could
Well-
see just like the unraveling.
well,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what was cool. Like she was unraveling, and the effect of sort of like you see this like idealized image of her fantasy of like her parents happy and her sister home, and then like there'll be like quick flashes to like her parents screaming and her sister in agony, and like the white dresses from the fantasy like stained with blood. Like I like those little quick cuts, those flashes. And so I will say, near the end of this movie, I checked my phone for the time, and that's when I had gotten that email from Joe Bob and like flipped my shit. So like I was like, fuck yeah, like we're like having a good time, rainbow time. Like it was like I was really primed to feel to like ride that high apparently.
I love that.
Wait, what was the email from Joe Bob?
I had sent
Yeah.
him a plug it up thing, press kit for plug it up, and he emailed back, and I was like, ah!
Nice.
The-
I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah.
Well,
can't
I
do
I
that.
mean, it digs into a lot of the culture of the time of this video nasties thing. I particularly liked the scenes where we see the kind of underground video shop dude, and like somebody rents
Mhm.
something kind of shady, because she's kind of breaking down towards the end, goes in and is like, look, I know what you do. I want to see the blah blah blah. And he's like, you could tell he doesn't want to get raided. It's just so funny. Like they actually work in a lot of that stuff pretty naturally into the plot to show what it was like.
Well,
Yeah.
and I did like the progression. I mean, again, I think this is actually, it's a pretty good script, right? But in some ways it's almost too ambitious for the amount of stuff she's trying to cover and like how intricately plotted it ends up being at a couple points. So that scene when she goes in and interacts with that guy is like a really interesting scene, but it's all being driven by the fact that she's basically become obsessed with the idea that this producer, might know something about this incident because of the woman. Don't go into the church. I don't want to get the title wrong. Have everyone scream at me, but and so like it ends up being almost like a detective story that she's like working through, and
Yeah.
again it works, but Eric, to your point, and I hadn't seen the trailer, I don't think, but it does kind of have that setup of being like a very kind of like artistic, like almost art housey thing, but then there's this very strong plot thread, and she's trying to. The
It
director does a
is-
good job trying to balance
It's
it.
a
But
balance. It
it's
is
tough.
art housey, for sure.
Yeah, we have-
Well, it is, but
Do we want to go ahead and drop a spoiler alert here? Because I've got some questions, especially pertaining with
Casey,
like
we
that
already-
scene that John's talking about.
We already spoiled the
Yeah.
whole movie, so I think you're good, bro.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Am I the only one that thought that the girl that was in that movie was actually her sister, and she was kind of going out there to find her and got thrown into it, right?
You're
No,
Then
describing.
she started thinking it was real.
You're describing the plot of the movie. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
isn't that
Yeah,
what happened?
that
I'm
is
just
what
making
she
sure.
Yeah.
No, well, it was unclear to me that she didn't make the sister connection until after
Everyone thought that.
she made
I'm just
the
making sure.
she
That's what
made the
director
connection.
thought.
She made the connection to the producer because just like the content of that movie. But then she started like watching his other movies,
Right.
saw that actress, and was like, "Oh shit! Like maybe he knows about this because he knows my sister." That was my takeaway.
Well, and we also get sort of like the clue. She goes to his house and he says like, oh, this will be her last film, talking about that
Yeah.
actress. So it's like
Yeah.
you're keyed up to think like, holy shit, they're going to kill her or something. Like it's going to be
Yeah.
something. And she knows, and she's got to go not just find her lost sister, but save her lost sister.
'Cause
So
she
like the
passed her
stakes are
crime.
super ramped up.
Well,
Yeah.
she definitely thought that he was saying he was going to kill her or that she was going to be dead. It was never my understanding. Like, I think he was just saying, like, she's like over the hill as an actress now, and like we're not.
She's Hollywood 90 now because she's like in her early 30s.
Because she's 24. Well, and that's the thing. Like, and I feel like that was communicated pretty well. That like the producer was just being sleazy and gross as that actor like magnificently portrayed, but like her reaction to those words, like you could tell that that's what she was thinking.
Sure.
I mean, my question with that, with talking about if that's what she was actually believing or not, was kind of stemming off like Eric talking about. I thought you were talking about that scene with the big beast man guy, and when he started doing his bit there, which was corny, but he was filming a shot for a movie, right? So that's where that question came from. Because I mean, I think that was like a pivoting point for me when her whole world just went ape shit and she started freaking out and got presented with that scene, and then you find out that it's all in her head. That was really mind blowing. Especially when the girl she thought her sister was telling her, that guy was my friend. What the hell did you do?
Yeah.
Well, and should we get into... Sorry, go ahead, John.
No, well, all right. So on that scene specifically, that was one... the scene where she's getting like the makeup put on, it was like where I was starting to not like lose the thread, but I was kind of like... That to me is like one of the biggest stretches, because it's one thing for her to believe that she's going to save this woman, but then that she has to go through, like, that she would have gone through with getting like made up. And
I agree.
That to me was a little bit of a stretch. But the thing I wanted to push on Caleb, or not push on, but ask about was your, like, so if we want to talk specifically about what we think happens with the woman and the sister, your reading was not like super different, but I am curious what you read that made you think like, oh, she definitely, was the one responsible.
Yeah, so what John's talking about, we in the email, I was very certain, just said with total confidence that, so we all know she killed her sister, and the reaction
when they were kids,
when they were kids, and the reaction from the guys here was like, "Are you sure?"
I was 100% like, maybe
honest.
I missed something.
What I read it.
That reaction first.
What I read it more was that the trauma came from the fact that she was older and was potentially being like irresponsible in being there or whatever, being there with the sister, whatever it was. The sister then, and also that the parents seemed to be very much guilting her about what happened. That's how I interpreted it.
I think that's the nuanced take. But for me, the reason, so I saw this with my friend Maddie, and she and I both, after it ended, like the first thing we said to each other was like, so she killed her sister, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, cool, we're on the same page. And the reason that I think we thought that is there were a couple times when the parents were like, well, you were never clear about what happened that day. Yeah. And then the dude that asks her out at work was like, yeah, it's crazy what our brains can block out when we don't want to think about what happened. And I think what really sold it, sort of pushed it over the edge to me, where I was like, oh yeah, like this is what happened, is that I don't know if she understands that that's what's happened. But when she watches Don't Go Into the Church, there's a scene where an older sister kills a younger sister with an axe, and her reaction to it is really visceral. Like she starts to have a panic attack. She goes in the bathroom and throws up. I mean, and whether or not she understands that that's why she's reacting that way, or like whether she remembers it. But Maddie and I were both like, oh, yep, she killed her sister, and she's blocking all this shit out.
I'll be honest with you.
I mean, that's a fair outlook. Right?
I'll be honest with you, Caitlin. Like I can deal with ambiguity in movies, but for some reason with this movie, I wish it had just told me. Like, it's part of my beef with the third act. It feels like it's building towards a reveal that we don't really get. Like, there is a reveal, but not really the one I was sort of led to believe I was looking for, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I had... Yes.
No, go ahead, Joe.
No, I was going to say, I actually had the same reaction, like, when we first... Because that first shot we get where she's, like, getting violently ill after watching the clip, and that's when we kind of get the tip-off. Because, like, even in her head, I think she gets this vision of like her walking out with the axe or whatever. Like, I felt like at that point they were hinting pretty hard that she had killed her sister. But then like some of the interactions with her parents, I wasn't sure, like it felt like potentially far-fetched. But and then at the end, we get that comment where the director even says like, this is based on an actual event, kind of alluding to like, this is her and her sister. And she's like, well, that's not how it really happened. So like they do keep it, I don't know. I thought they pushed more towards she was responsible, but didn't do the actual murder. But like, I totally could swing back the other way if I watched this again.
My read was very close to Eric's in that I just assumed it was a guilt thing. Like,
Yeah,
and
like she
guilt,
ran away and left her.
yeah, like her own personal guilt, like the guilt that her parents are kind of, creating and nurturing through 15 years. But it is left like it's definitely open-ended enough that you could go either way with it. And her behavior and like the desperation that she has in trying to find her sister, to me, was like a signal of like, I don't know if like wanting to, it's not absolve herself necessarily of the crime, but to almost like demonstrate to everyone like, yo, look, I didn't kill her. Like, I know everyone like thinks I did, but like, look, she's really here. And that was sort of the desperation. And maybe like whether or not that's because she knows she didn't kill her or because she just like wants to believe she didn't, I guess is, again, it's like unresolvable.
See, it's interesting because I tend to be not observant, so I may have completely missed the mark, but I never really took it as her parents like blaming her for it. I took it as more coming across like her parents are like, we've come to accept it, you need to accept it too.
Oh, that's definitely a part of it. They just like, while they're doing that, they're slipping in these things that are kind of shitty to say to your daughter who has gone
just
through
little
this
digs.
thing. Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
at the end, the dad especially, because when she's like, I'm gonna go get her or whatever, and he's like, you always do this. You did this just like you did that day.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
Yeah, he definitely snaps at her and like
try some
full on,
radical acceptance, bro. Might help.
some RODBT.
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound like it was her fault. So I mean, you got to kind of sign up to that here, right?
And those, in my defense, some of the stuff like what was going on, the story of what was happened with her and her sister, I was kind of clueless on. I was going into that as she showed up at that filming location and started doing the makeup and stuff. I was thinking there's still a chance that maybe it was her sister.
Well, at that point in the movie,
found.
that's still in the air until the reveal, basically at the end.
Yeah.
No, that's
and you just know that like she's there looking for information and she thinks she could find out something here.
I love how unhinged she is to like, just pretend that she's the girl she's the actress and she gets in the makeup chair. Like, that is psychotic behavior.
It is. I love it.
I was like, oh, she's just going. I really enjoyed that.
And the funny thing is, like, it doesn't appear like she's showered in a while. Like, she's real kind of messed up. And this lady's like, this like makeup lady's like, okay, like, do what I can, bro.
I do think the makeup lady was a little over misleading as far as the feeling and theme of everything that was going on. She seemed like the ominous gypsy character or something giving a warning.
I kind of like that though. Like, I thought that like the way that she was portrayed was kind of the way that that Enid sort of was like perceiving her. So like regardless of whether that was actually, you know, how the makeup artist was being, like whether she did have those like weirdly long pauses and intense stares.
Those are like the art housey moments too, though, where characters are being obtuse for no other reason other than that we're just smelling our own farts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but and Caitlin brought this up, way back at the beginning, but it's that sort of unreliable narrator trope that I mean, I don't want to say it's like beaten to death because it's not done that much, but it's also been done. And yeah, I mean, like when it works, and like that is they're fun, and some of the moments are like super unsettling. I will tell you, and it's like sort of in that vein, but I can't even remember now what the context was. There's a clip. It's like one of the scariest things in the movie of Margaret Thatcher.
Yes.
Like just like saying some like creepy ass like government shit.
I hated it.
Oh my gosh.
I turned to Maddie like,
what is she talking about? If you think a lady politician can't be fucking creeptastic.
It's funny because as we were Googling around trying to figure out what those video nasties and stuff, I found an interview on Vulture with the director, and she talks about a lot about Thatcher and that era of that culture that was built around the video nasty era and stuff that was censoring everything too. That was that's definitely a thought that the director put into it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's real. The director doesn't look that old. That's what I was like. I was curious if she like lived through it. If it was more like an academic interest. I don't know.
How old do you think she looks, John? Age her, please.
No, like I'm saying, like she's like our age, like
No, but they're making a point.
Joe?
They're making a point.
If you were gonna guess, John, like what would you say?
You want me to look? I can look up and see how old she is. I'm sure the internet could tell me.
I would guess she's 32 or 3.
There you go.
in real life.
Thank you,
Well,
Eric.
that makes
for-
me furious.
I think the movie was just making a point, Joe, about the industry.
Yeah.
And
Do you guys want to know the scariest part of the movie for me?
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Maddie and I saw this in a theater, and it was just the two of us until the movie started. And a guy walked in, and he was sitting in the very back. We were sitting kind of in the middle. And at one point during the movie, we heard a buckle unbuckle and then a zip.
Oh,
And we both
boy.
looked at each other like, don't turn around, don't turn around, don't turn
Oh,
around. And I was
God.
like, are you okay? And she was like, I'm okay. And so at the end, we let him leave first, and praise Jesus, he had a backpack. So the buckle, like like the
Man.
clinking buckle and the zipper were a part of his backpack, I assume. But we had the same reaction in the moment where I
Wow.
like grabbed her hand. I was like, we good?
That is a pretty
His-
scary moment.
Unless his backpack was filled with those like latex feet you can fuck. That, like just like 12 of them in there.
Oh God.
I didn't know that was.
He was wearing sweatpants. You noticed when he was leaving.
Wrong, Johns. She's 39, actually,
Oh,
John.
wow.
Born in
Yeah.
1982.
Joe, it's my 39th birthday this week. I was right on. You know.
Is
there
it,
you go.
John?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Birthday,
great.
John.
There's so.
I am also
mhm.
39.
I said she was our age, and I was right on.
There you go.
I'm 39 too.
Congrats, Casey.
All right. Would you go ahead, Joe?
No, I'm done.
It looked like you had material to expand there. Would you recommend Censor, John?
Yes.
Joe?
Yeah, I definitely would.
Caitlin?
Yeah.
Casey?
Absolutely.
Love it. All right. I didn't bring up a different bumper, so we're just gonna listen to the same one from last week. Hey Joe, let's bring my top 10 list up after this because I'm afraid I'm not gonna have 10, so we got to start putting stuff on it regardless of how I
Got a
feel
lot.
about
There's
it,
a lot of
so,
stuff coming here. We'll be all right.
Let's do it. We'll be right back.
A showdown is about to begin between the soldiers of the day and the army of the night. You can't kill me. James Woods. My baby. John Carpenter's Vampires. Opens everywhere October 30th.
Hey, I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and you're listening to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. info@bloodygoodhorror.com.
Eric, did you ever want James Woods to be the lead on your movie? Was that ever a good sign?
I think. Well, it's good that we're giving him and Marilyn Manson more like airtime. Like those two, raise them up.
Wait, did they mention him in that trailer? I just zoned out.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
like
shit.
James Woods, John Carpenter's
Oh.
Vampire.
In a Kevin Spacey film.
It was the 90s, John. Different time.
Yeah.
Different time. We got an email from Alyssa about the book club. Hope everyone's surviving the summer swelter. We're finishing up June where we read The Family Plot by Sherry Priest, which was very good. For July, we're checking out the highly recommended Southern Gothic story, The Elementals by Michael McDowell. Not Michael McDonald, Joe. Which barely beat out Jaws for Book of the Month. I'd have been fine with either. As always, we're on Reddit at rbgh book club and Twitter at BGH book club. And a special thank you to Whitney for taking charge of the Reddit because I don't know what I'm doing there. Love you, Alyssa. That's from Alyssa. Info at Bloody Good Horror. You can check that out. The book club. Also, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do my top 10 list quick while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Do it to it.
What do I have at the bottom of the list right now?
You know, that damn thing's loading. Okay, so you actually have a nope, you don't. That's 2020. All right, so right now you've got 1, 2, and 3, Promising Young Woman, Saint Maud, and The Stylist, and then you've got 2 at the bottom, number 9, Boys from County Hell, and Psycho Gorman.
Yeah, bump all those up and put this at 10.
All right, I can do that.
Slider in there. Thank you, Joe. And then after that, why don't you tell me about the 5K, BGH 5K?
Yeah, 5K and 10K.
So we did an
Eric.
extra one. We normally do them in the fall around Halloween time. We did an extra one the spring of 2020, like quarantine, right?
Yeah, like kind of like a smaller one.
But is this the third or the fourth year we've done the October one?
This would be the 4th one now, right?
I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. So we did 2 5K. Then last year we did the 5K and added the 10K. And this year we'll do a 5 and 10K again. So it's going to be the weekend of October 8th, I believe. I don't have the message we were sharing in front, but Friday to Sunday, go out, run your 5K, your 10K, send us a screenshot of your time, and we'll hook you up with some fun swag. In previous years, it's been a ton of fun. We've gotten a lot of people to go out. If you're posting up on like Facebook or Instagram or wherever, just use the hashtag #RunBGH. And we kind of built this like community of people training and having a good time with it. You can go out, you can walk it. You do not have to run it. You can go out with your kids. Like we've had a bunch of people that just, a couple of our listeners like walked around the city with their dog and just kind of tracked their mileage. Whatever you do, just, use an app like Runkeeper or Strava is the one I'm using now. And then just send us a screenshot. So yeah, October. So you got plenty of time to gear up, and we'll have more info as it gets closer. Same thing as previous years. We won't be able to send stuff out to folks outside the country just because it's a huge pain in the ass for me, and I'm not going to do it. But for like the fastest times, we'll get a T-shirt out to you or something. And we've offered up like back episodes or stuff that we can do online for anyone outside the U.S. So
love it.
You'll get something.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Caitlin, plug it up, burning up the podcast charts.
It's going well. I'm really happy about it. And last week we did a double. So we had our regular episode drop and then an episode of listener stories where people had submitted their coming of age stories and some fun questions. We had some familiar names come through and some anonymous, but it's been a lot of fun and really appreciate all the support.
I assume the anonymous was Eric, but you don't even know.
Oh, when I'm ready, John, I won't hide.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's radically open.
That's right.
I know. I've asked for less.
What about you, Schnars? That's what I really want. Some Schnarzy coming of age moments.
Well, I'm hoping we got Kayla and I got to figure out, but I'm getting excited about a little Stephen King centered episode.
Oh,
so
nice. Joe, Joe. I think Caitlin, you'll need a whole season to unpack Joe's adolescence. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
Based
there.
on scheduling, my episode coming November 2023. Can't wait. Can't wait to be a part of it.
God damn it.
Love it. All right, check that up. Plug it up. You can search in your podcast things, and plug it up pod on Twitter and Instagram. Is that right?
Yep, and plug it up pod at Gmail. And one guy did give us a hearty 1-star rating on iTunes. So if you want to go balance the scales there.
What was the? You don't have to read the whole thing, but I'm curious what the comment is.
Oh, the comment was just ZZZZZ, like he was bored. So
that's lame.
Yeah.
Do you know it was a man, or you're just like,
John.
His name was. I don't want to give him any airtime, but his name was listed. So yeah.
It was like the
It said John T.
emoji.
Schnars.
Yeah.
Duke alum 79.
Duke alum. Well, Caitlin, you think of it as a, rite of passage. Your first, I'm pretty sure our
Yeah.
first negative review was somebody talking about how much they hated me. So you just gotta accept it at some point.
Wow.
It was
To
Joe.
be fair, you had it coming.
This show would be better with a guy named Joe who has some stories. All right, love it. Bloody Good Horror is a thing that you already found because you're listening to it. We're also on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror, help support the show. You can get a high definition. If you listen to me describing Schnars every week and you're like, boy, I'd love to see this golden god over here. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You get a live stream of the show. You get access to back episodes. And we're working behind the scenes, John, to make back episode stuff easier. I think we finally had a breakthrough with Apple stuff today that we've been trying to work on. So that's coming in the near future, hopefully. The future. Let's call it the future. And
the future.
yeah, you can help support the show. So check that out. Joe, every week here we also take questions from both Twitter and Instagram. And we'd probably take them from like TikTok too if we could figure it out.
I gave that a week and a half try and then and gave up. Yeah, we're on Twitter at BG Horror. We use the hashtag AskBGH if you want to send in a question or just get to know us. First up, and I feel like he might know the answer to this and is just prodding me. From my buddy Skizbot, that's Skylar. Were you a little klepto as a kid like me? I never really got in huge trouble for it, but I was caught by a shop owner trying to hide a comic book under my shirt, and that scared me straight.
We actually talked about this on Plug It Up because a lot of girls, like coming of age, I feel like so many of my friends were into stealing, shoplifting.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was terrified of that. And we would be at like CVS or Bath and Body Works and they'd just be throwing shit in their bag. And I'd be like, I'm with you. Like, if you get caught, I'm going to get in trouble. And being so afraid.
I mean, yeah, I 100%. I think I've talked about it on the show. Like, I went through a klepto phase for sure. Like, I stole fountain pens, like just stupid shit. Like, I remember me and my buddy stealing like packs of like New Kids on the Block trading cards. And it's like, why? Like, just because we could, I guess.
Mine
But
was
yeah, you don't want to pay for those. So.
Yeah, I eventually got caught stealing a Pearl Jam tape at Kmart in Rotterdam Square Mall, and yeah, after that I had to leave my life of crime behind.
My weakness was G.I. Joe action figures.
Did you take them out of the packaging? Because the packaging was substantial. Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I got all the weapons and the figure out, and then I'd leave the packaging behind.
Wow, gangster.
Joe Ferry told me cigarettes because he was on that episode.
Yeah.
And said,
Steal
cigarettes.
honest cigarettes from the Phase in downtown Glenville area.
Phase. Oh my god.
Yeah, in junior high, ours was chewing tobacco because there was one drugstore we used to ride skateboards that kept the chew out on the main shelves and not behind the counters. So
what I appreciate about Joe is he not only tells you about his crimes, but he tells you literally exactly where he did them.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Is that place still around? I mean, that was 30 years ago.
No, that was like
That's like
an ancient drugstore chain that went bye in the 90s, I think.
Yeah. But like
Joe did not help. Let's be clear.
I think they got absorbed by CVS at some point.
Yeah. But yeah, the same thing. They left their cigarettes like out, but like you just grabbed whatever you could. So I'd be smoking like Misty 100s. And
exactly.
What a world. Cigarettes just out.
Yeah.
What a world.
That is crazy.
All right. Next up from our buddy Chris Aleonte. What horror opinion would you, right or wrong, be censored for?
Horror opinion.
I only have the best opinions, so
it's true. Yeah. Agreed.
I don't think I have any opinions that are that controversial.
John also is not really on the internet, so he wouldn't know if his opinions were controversial or not.
I mean, people could be censoring me all over. I just,
right.
I mean, like I said, like it's not like a censored, like Scream. I feel like is a movie that people love, and like I just never got it. Like it's just not my thing.
John, you really are a fucking unicorn like that. Like you're on a podcast, and you are not on Twitter or Facebook.
He works in podcast.
Yo, I'm on LinkedIn, bro.
Yeah, like a 90-year-old.
We're friends.
Like
now
that
on
is
LinkedIn.
crazy. You're like what do they call that? Like you like live in a Faraday cage, but like for social media.
Nice. pleasant in here. You
It's
don't have to worry about what
wild.
other people think all
It's
the
really
time.
it blows my mind, honestly.
All right. Next up, Big Texonier. Oh, Alyssa, our friend Alyssa. I don't know what her handle is. I can't.
Big
figure
Tex Tozier.
Thank
All
you.
right, there you go. Which do you prefer, haunted house movies or demonic possession movies?
Oh boy,
It's
these
on my
are
mood.
least two favorite. I guess haunted house. I guess.
Yeah,
I
would
think
go
I'm
with
going house as well.
Yeah.
I do love a good possession movie though.
I mean, a good
Yeah.
possession movie is a good movie. Like I'm not, but if I had to pick one,
Haunted house movie, even like a shitty one, will always like scare me. Like 9 times out of 10.
It
Like,
still has that.
Yeah.
It can have that amusement park vibe to it, or like
yeah.
I love when a picture frame falls off the wall.
Whoa.
That's,
When a
That's-
rocking
I was-
chair goes on its own, like,
Yeah,
fuck,
yeah.
Oh yeah, every time.
forget it.
I was mostly just ripping Eric because he gets upset every time a picture falls over in a movie.
What was that? The Woman in Black? That scene where the rocking chair is going back and forth. Like,
yeah, that movie
I
was.
almost had to leave the theater. I was so terrified.
That movie was scary.
Scariest? I'll tell you, anytime you see a ghost in a window when you're outside the house,
Ah,
always scary. That's, never not scary in my book.
Yeah.
So.
all right. Next up, our friend Whitney. Whitney, please. I think is her name. Caitlin, you got to check
Yep.
on that.
Whitney,
Uh,
please, yeah.
Caitlin's
Favorite-
going to pronounce the handles. Going
I'm a
forward.
translator and the interpreter.
Favorite summer themed horror movie. Follow up. What's your favorite summer cocktail or mocktail?
Jaws?
Yeah, I feel like
yeah.
Jaws is kind of like the
You
same
can't
time.
go.
Jaws.
The Burning also I really enjoy.
Jaws is really good. The Burning is a really good answer. So, for me, it's probably Sleepaway Camp 2, a very problematic film in modern days, but of its time.
Yeah.
It has a summer
and drink.
camp vibe
Anyone a
to it.
drink?
I mean, margarita.
Bourbon.
Like if the
Yeah.
weather's warm, I just want a margarita on the rocks. Like, let's do this.
I used
Yeah.
to say this a lot when I could drink beer, but I was very partial to a Sam Summer Ale. Very basic like that, Joe.
I
Like a mojito when it's hot.
Oh yeah. Mai Tais. I think I've talked about. Like I finally got everything in the house to make them. Me and Matt, one of our listeners, have been going back and forth every week and sharing tiki drinks with each other and making them. Oh, I got the bit is something bad, but they are delicious.
Oh, Return of the Living Dead is another big summer one for me because it takes place on 4th of July weekend.
There you
The fun
go.
one.
All right, here's one, and I'm gonna have trouble getting through this. It's from John's favorite, C.O.W. Flanagan. I Love Rock and Roll, as performed by Joan Jett, is about a grown woman using her power to sexually take advantage of her poor 17-year-old boy. How come? You can guess how that's spelled, John. My hot track about a dude in his 60s making whoopee with a barely legal Denny's employee ain't getting no play.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nah, I like. He's asking the tough questions.
Right.
so-
What? I don't get the reference at the end. What are we talking about?
No, I think
I-
he's saying he's an old man who's.
No, I think
Oh.
he's saying he made a song
Yeah, yeah.
about
Okay.
a guy in his 60s.
It's best not to think too much about it, I think. Probably.
Is that what that Joan Jett song's about? I never paid attention to the
The
lyrics. as much as, like-
punchline of the COW Flanagan tweets is never us responding to them. I feel like it's just
Yeah,
Joe reading
yeah.
it.
No, every once in a while he hits with like a real thinker. I think.
This is
Yeah.
you. This is your fault, John. You hear
Yeah.
this?
I'm here
Oh,
for it.
I think he brings up some valid points.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, yeah.
He spells everything C-U-M. That's a valid point. All right. Erica, that's our friend Aylin1477. If horror wasn't your favorite genre, what would it be?
Sci-fi. It's like
Sci-fi.
not even close. It's number 2.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Comedy.
big into comedies.
Yeah.
Oh,
I-
I was also gonna go like action. Like I love a good like kung fu fighting situation.
I would say 80s fantasy movies. That's,
Yeah,
that's a
I'm with you.
subgenre,
For
but
comedy.
so
still,
small. What do you get? Like 15 movies to
Wow.
work with there?
I could do that.
I like gangster movies. I recently got into
Yes.
gangster movies, and I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
mean, they are
Caitlin,
good.
I have some good suggestions for you. I'm pretty into that as well.
I was a pretty huge National Lampoon's fan for quite a long time until they stopped putting good movies out and cashing in.
You're right.
like the,
National
like the third
Lampoon's.
Van Wilder.
You're right. National Lampoon Senior Trip is a classic.
Oh yeah.
Get out of here.
It's out of the theater.
Incredible. I still have my VHS of it, John.
Max Headroom.
None of that surprises me.
Matt Frewer, he is. You're right.
Yeah. I don't know. Horror's
dude,
not my favorite genre.
A young Jeremy Renner is in that movie.
All right. Heat stroke or hypothermia? Fusilatoro asks.
You know what I've been doing lately? I've been taking cold showers. Because I read an article about its health benefits, and it's incredible. I'm never going back.
Huh.
I feel like $1 million bucks.
I jerk off, like, so I don't have to.
You could do that too. 2 benefits at once. 2 birds, 1 stone.
In a cold shower? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about cold shower.
You fucking freak. Wow, yeah. This guy over here.
I feel like if you take it that far.
I'm a big dude. I got to go with hypothermia if I got to choose one of them. Right?
I don't know. I will take heat exhaustion like any day.
I can't. Yeah, I'm not good with like environmental cold that I don't have control of.
Yeah.
They're both gonna kill you, right? I mean, is it about like which way you're dying?
How do you want to go? Yeah, heat stroke or hypothermia?
I'm trying to say, as large as I am, I sweat a lot walking from the car to the grocery store when it's.
I would bet that heat stroke makes you pass out quicker, and that hypothermia is a bit of a slower, more tortured demise.
Yeah. Hypothermia, when I sweat, like I feel I'm getting out the demons. So I feel like for at least a good amount of this death, like I'd be like, yeah, this is good. Like I'm good. Like something good's happening.
Cold is never
hypothermia is like the more emo way to go. I think I gotta go
I'm so cold.
That's true. I'm in my 40s, so I have to hate that. All right, here it is. This is the one that Eric's been waiting for.
Yeah.
F, Marry, Kill, Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans.
Oof. I love this because it's like a Rorschach test.
Yeah.
Fully.
I mean, Chris Pratt, we're all going to kill.
We kill
right?
Chris
that guy
Pratt.
Sucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's an opinionated.
Apparently.
Right.
And I'm going to marry Chris, the Captain American one, and Thor.
I think that's the clear answer.
Oh,
yes.
Thor.
Because Thor is a bit of a himbo, and I feel like he's the one you want to fling with. Chris Evans.
He's a hunky looking dude.
Listen,
what can I say?
Chris Evans is.
I feel like if I woke up every morning and saw Chris Hemsworth lying next to me, I'd be like, "Fuck, I've made it."
Joe, listen. Here's the thing, Joe. This is why I wanted to get in this because I knew you were going to say that. First of all, I would pick Chris Evans because I think he would be intellectually stimulating, and I also think he'd be giving. He would be giving.
He would support you. He would support you.
He would.
I don't need that. I just want to fuck a pretty boy.
Can we isolate that audio?
Listen, I knew you were going to say, I don't know what that says about me, Joe, but the first thing was I thought of my answer first, and then I thought of yours, and I was right.
I mean, Chris Evans is a good-looking guy, but like, if you could show up everywhere with Chris Hemsworth on your arm, like, you're gonna get into places, is what I'm saying.
You're gonna get into places.
All right, last but not least on Twitter, and then we'll go over to Instagram. From Erie, Arizona. Were there any quote-unquote video nasties your parents forbid you to watch when you were a kid? Mine was 976 Evil because my parents said it would encourage me to worship the devil over the phone. No,
dude,
I'm not.
I was forbidden from watching. I mean, once the dam broke, like I watched at like 10 years old, I watched without telling my parents Total Recall. And then that same summer, I asked my parents to rent me a horror movie. My mom brought me back Halloween 2, which just jacked me up. Like it's my mom's fault. All of this whole thing is my mom's fault. Yeah. But no, like once the dam was broken, there was never really any argument about anything I wanted to rent, for better or worse. Like,
I'm assuming Casey will have the same answer. Like, we're children of the 80s, so there was just like zero. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
The only time my mom got annoyed is when I rented Texas Chainsaw Massacre and woke her up in the middle of the night because once the movie was over, we found out the sump pump in the basement was going out, and it was just making a noise repeatedly, like a chainsaw. So the movie ended. I'm like, oh shit, Mom.
All right. Over on Instagram, we are Bloody Good Horror, the full thing. Every Tuesday we post up a little field so you can send in a question. And today we were a day early recording, but we still got a good amount here. First up, Candyman. Should it not be Candy Person now?
Sure.
I mean, he's still a man.
He
in the movie,
no
unless
right
they,
because
like,
he is a man. It's not like all encompassing anyone that likes candy.
I think
Yeah,
somebody
it's specific.
Right.
somebody thought they were being clever here, huh?
Yes.
I get it. Saint Maud / Censor double feature. You win.
Sounds
That's what I said.
That sounds
I
exhausting.
mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't me,
Galen
but
did hit
that's
that.
yeah.
I need a little
was
bit of
that?
I need a little bit of frivolity in between. I can't watch those movies back to back.
Ryan Tehanen?
Ryan, my dude.
Here's a good one. If you had to eat 5 pounds of a food in one sitting, what food would you choose?
Oh wow.
So I will say the easy answer. I don't know if this is. I want to think about this. Cheez-Its? I think I could eat Cheez-Its like until I'm dead. Like,
That's such a
there's
specific.
there's like a
answer, I love it.
chemical in them that like you can't stop eating them.
I was honestly gonna say Cheez-Its, John.
That's really funny.
But like the other one, like I can
Yeah,
eat French fries
actually
until I
though,
throw
John,
up.
you know what?
Oh,
I
can do
don't
that.
think Cheez-Its have this, but like something with MSG because like when I like not that I do, but like in my past life when I would eat food with MSG, I could not stop. Like I could not stop eating it. So that because I'm
I
just
would
thinking
just-
you got to get through this situation. Like this is not gonna be a pleasurable situation.
I
I
think.
thought-
Yeah, go ahead. No.
I just nachos is where my brain went.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I would go scrimp, just shrimp all day. Like
That makes me ill, Joe.
I would literally blow past 5 pounds and just keep on trucking through the night.
Well, look, Joe's on to something where ideally you'd get like you'd want it in smallest volume, but like high mass.
Joe, how are they cooked
Yeah.
in this scenario?
Oh, just scrimp cocktail.
Oh wow,
all
just
day,
raw,
every day.
like cold.
Whew.
Like,
I
don't know,
I would bet money at a Vegas buffet I have eaten 5 pounds of scrimp.
sauce, like cocktail sauce.
No, I don't even need cocktail sauce. I can
Really?
just
Ah.
eat shrimp straight up.
See, I will only.
delicious.
I cannot eat cocktail shrimp; they gross me out. But I will eat like grilled
This
shrimp.
is so gross.
Grilled
I won't
shrimp are
even
good.
kiss like like in the past I had a boyfriend that loved shrimp cocktail, and after he would eat it, I'd be like, get away from me.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I could taste
I
it
would
on
let
your
your
mouth.
I would let your ex-boyfriend bird feed me 5 pounds of shrimp.
Yeah. One
I
of the
think-
most magical things I didn't know existed is I went to Florida a couple years ago and was with my aunt and uncle. We went to Publix and they just ordered a pound of peel and eat shrimp
Oh,
from the deli and they steamed it and everything for him. We just took it home and ate it. I'm like, this is magic.
Honestly, like
yeah.
you,
especially like down in the Gulf, like you can
Oh,
get
yeah.
like, air steams.
yeah, all
Oh.
that like oil. You need
Yeah.
you need
Buy
them.
you Joe over here.
You need them to be
Oh, I
grilled.
guarantee.
You need them to be grilled and heavily seasoned. Like they need to be straight up like grilled and blackened. Like they need to be like cooked, not boiled. Like it's like eating
Steamed
fingers.
with a bunch of Old Bay and I'm a happy boy.
Yeah, I will
gross.
celebrate them in all their forms.
That's
That's where you get your money at the buffet. People think it's crab legs.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, crab legs are pretty expensive.
yeah, but you're mostly paying for shell
Dude,
there. Shrimp.
The one time I was ever in
Your
Vegas,
goodness.
the one time I was ever in Vegas and ate at one of those buffets, you want to talk about eating it was smoked salmon. That's how you get your money's worth. Just eat a meal of smoked salmon.
Oh yeah, well that's a pricey
Yeah.
penny.
Don't ever go to the fucking omelet station, John. That's how they get you.
Fill you up on cheap
What
ass
if you had
eggs.
shrimp in the omelet, Joe?
Oh,
No, you're filling up. You're gonna eat like one omelet and be almost full. Same thing with salad. Don't ever fucking get a salad. Like you
Yeah,
just
who's eating
wasted your
salad?
time.
Like,
Soup and salad are for suckers.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that.
The meetup next year is just gonna be at a an old country buffet.
Ooh, hush puppies. Yeah, let's do it.
the old country buffet.
Mexican food, which is mejo? Mejo?
Mejor,
Is that what does that word mean, Caitlin?
which
better?
is best, which is better
All
than best,
right.
yeah.
Tacos, quesadilla, or burritos?
Oh, I remember burrito guy.
I don't know.
Tacos for me, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna
They're
say
like bite size.
Tacos, yeah. Burritos to me, it's like assault. It's like you're assaulting yourself, and it's too much. Like
Yeah.
it's not really enjoyable.
That's
It's
why I
like-
was gonna go burrito. I was actually gonna go enchilada.
Love an enchilada.
Wasn't
Love
an
enchilada.
option, John?
I know, but you know what? I'm going off menu. Here we
Yeah,
are.
of course you are. She fucking stormed the Capitol about it. All right, next up, question for everyone. So feel free to weigh in. Where do you stand on Sutton versus Crystal?
I don't know what that means.
Obviously, a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills question, John. So Sutton, obviously, very like sensitive to this whole thing and overreacting, but Crystal, bordering on mean girl. So it's tough. It's a tough call. But I mentioned Crystal's husband directed the Haunted Mansion movie, so you got to side with her every day.
Joe, how many?
That's your dude.
How many shows do you follow at once, Joe?
There's usually about 3 or 4 on at a time.
That's
so
not-
like right now, New York is on, Beverly Hills is on, Shaw's of Sunset is on.
How many total are there?
And oh god, like Housewives, 6 or 7 maybe. But then there's Shaw's of Sun.
They rotate.
Like, yeah. There's usually probably 2, and then like I don't watch Below Deck, but like that's on right now. Like it usually the top is like there'll be 4 different shows on a week at like the height, and it just depends like if we watch all of them or not. We watch all of the Housewives, but then like the other Bravo shows we pick and choose. Good question, Eric.
Thank you.
All right, here's one. It's going to be 110 here today. Any tips to stay frosty?
Woof.
Don't go in the church.
Air conditioning.
Yeah, my tip was just move someplace else.
Chris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Like blackout curtains.
Yeah.
Keeping that hot air from like seeping into the room is actually super helpful. Keeping the sun out.
All right. Next one, and I don't fully understand what this means, but it's just a picture of a spider and the question why.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of spiders in my apartment right now. Not a big fan of it.
It's the time of the year.
I did though.
They're bugs. Like I don't know. I'm kind of like indifferent on spiders.
Bought some fly swatters on Amazon that I seeded throughout the house, and I am just a cold-blooded murderer right now, and it's really enjoyable. Like all kinds of, I'm just killing bugs. It's great.
Yeah, in 2 days, like in a row, killed a spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kill. I am fascinated. Our listener Elisa, like loves spiders. Like she's always posting like these videos of her like playing with them in her house. Like I just can't. I try to put them outside, but in reality, I appreciate that like they kill the other bugs that I don't want in the house.
I do get that. But if you are a bug in my house, I will kill you, and I can't.
Yeah.
I cannot live knowing you're there, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, like intellectually, I get it, but
in fact, I remember the day because like for a while with my daughter, like I wouldn't. She was learning about that kind of stuff, so I wouldn't kill a bug. I'd be like, oh, well, like put this bug outside. And then one day, out of reflex, I just murdered an ant in front of her, and her eyes got really big. Like, I was like, oh, so let's have a talk about this.
We got one of those. I forget what it's called, but it's pretty much like a giant light you hang outside, and it has a fan underneath, so the bugs fly to it and they get sucked in and trapped in this like thing underneath where they just die.
It doesn't like zap them. It's not like the zapper.
No, it sucks them
Some
down,
vortex.
but then they can't get out, and they just starve to death.
Nice.
So like once a week,
Way more humane.
yeah, like once a week you empty this thing, and it's just like full of like dead,
I love it.
God knows what's children.
Listen, I get empathy for animals, but that stops at bugs for me. They're bugs.
Bugs are, yeah. Which are you more excited for, Halloween Kills or Candyman?
Halloween Kills. Easy.
Ooh. Halloween
That
Kills,
trailer
that latest
was
trailer is pretty tight.
Really good.
I mean, it
was
looks
really
like
good.
they're just going hardcore, like just going for it. Like
But
if you're gonna,
Candyman trailer was really good too. It was better than the
I'm gonna
first
be
one.
honest with you. I'm not really looking forward to Candyman that much. Like the trailers just are not doing it for me, so I don't.
I haven't seen the new trailer, but I'm very in for Candyman.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Halloween Kills. Speaking of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards.
Oh
right
yeah,
there
that's right.
On the,
That's right.
The 2-minute mark. Her and her bangs.
Did
very
they
exciting.
now the Tommy Doyle characters come back too? Is that the original actor? Like the kid, like so she was one of the girls being baby. She was the girl being
Yeah.
babysat. The boy in that first film was also like the character's coming back. I don't know if it's the same guy.
I don't know. He's not on any Housewives show, so I don't know. I'm not familiar.
What I like is like they're just going full absurd. If you're gonna have Michael Myers still be alive after the last movie, then you might as well just lean into he's just an unstoppable killing machine now.
Yep.
They take the mask off him.
Yeah,
At
I
one
turned
point.
off the trailer as soon as I saw that because I'm like, this trailer's going. It's too much. Like, I don't need every plot point in the movie. Thanks.
Eric's just like, no.
Listen, it's Halloween. Like, I don't need anything from the trailer, but like the music,
Yeah.
honestly.
No. I mean, I generally agree, but the trailer was wilder than I was expecting. It
Yeah.
It had me
Yeah.
keyed up. I was
Yeah.
ready to go.
I threw up everywhere.
Oh man.
You got to stop eating that shrimp. Man.
13 pounds of shrimp all over my keyboard. Here's a good one that most people won't get the reference to. What time is hammer time?
Is that an MC Hammer reference or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I mean,
Well,
like,
why would
what
people
do
not
you-
get that?
Yeah,
Well,
I
people
think
know
a lot of
hammers.
people are on the younger side might not.
Well, I
even
think
know
a hammer
MC
time is officially whenever you have the inclination to stop and collaborate and listen, right?
Oh, that's
fair.
Vanilla Ice, but sure.
I know it's Vanilla Ice, but it's the same era.
Okay, boomer. My favorite Jimmy Buffett song, John, is "It's Hammer Time Somewhere." That was the follow-up. All right, here's a good one. Joe, can you keep your fingers crossed for England match, please, sir?
They won.
Yeah,
They already won.
I love it. I love the time of year when we as Americans pretend to give a shit about soccer. Like, there is nothing more
I'm
obnoxious.
very much enjoying the Euro, as they say.
Sure you are, buddy. Keep telling yourself that.
Oh, that's fine.
What is the ultimate comfort food?
Oh.
I mean, Cheez-Its?
Pizza.
No.
Sponsored by Nabisco? Is that what?
Yeah.
14 pounds of shrimp, I think.
I would say pizza.
I'll go with biscuits and gravy.
That was my answer too, Casey. I don't know if I would consider pizza comfort food. Is that?
I would. It's not normal.
You think
food,
chips
like-
and comfort? What do you?
Yeah.
Come on. What are you doing here?
I'd say like a good bag of Taco Bell.
Yeah, that's
Assorted Taco
that's
Bell.
a really good answer too.
It's like not even a specific order. Just like, throw some shit in that. We're good to go.
I mean, basically, and I'd be like, all right.
Here's $20. Make this happen.
I don't know. When I think comfort food, I think of like Southern, like that sort of thing. I don't
Like
think
mac
of
and cheese.
yeah.
Why does it got to be from the South, man? Like it's just food.
Why?
It makes you give comfort.
Just shut the fuck up, Jim. All right. Got two more here. Where do farts go when they die? I believe that was that. I think it was a cover, but it was that Nirvana song, right?
Yeah.
Where do bad farts go when they die? Nobody remembers.
No, I
This
got
is the
you.
kind of thing my kids would
I'm
ask
with
me.
you.
And I just feel like, don't.
Mine go to die in this desk chair.
Actually, Cece wrote in an answer, which I thought was great. If you hold them in, they become burps.
Ugh.
Yeah. All right, last but not least, late entry from our friend who refuses to use the form. And by the way, there are other people that just send in questions, and I refuse to read them because I find it drives me fucking insane. It's like you have one thing that you have to understand here. It's like people that don't use the hashtag. Like you've lost your right to be a part of my world. A question here, simply, do you miss me when I'm gone? And I don't. Had she ever been gone? I don't. Just give me a chance. Like,
Oh,
you're
Lord.
always here.
I miss her.
That's it. We're done. Speaking
Love it.
of, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. Going to Disney World a week from Friday.
Oh wow.
Are you going to be there for 2 weeks?
Hot girl summer?
We're going to be in Disney for a week, and then we're going to Destin for 5 days after.
I thought that was diaper cream.
Live it up, bro.
Yeah. A lot of script down there in Destin, Eric.
I bet. Yeah. You think that Gulf shrimp's okay to eat? You think that oil's gone? I feel like it just went to the bottom and it's just there.
Oil is flavor.
Okay, that's one way to look at it, I suppose. I'm not sure that we know what we're doing next week. Is there theater stuff coming up, John?
That
So Werewolves Within is going to be, it's in theaters now and it's digital release on Friday.
I love
So
it.
we were talking about that.
Oh.
Fear Street 1 is
Yeah,
also, I
that's
mean,
right.
The
there's
Forever Purge is this weekend.
Oh, Forever Purge, yeah.
is
That's
that
only in
theaters?
theater though, right?
Probably.
So we have
Yeah.
I don't know.
decisions to make, is what you're saying, John.
I don't think I can get to a theater like I would be open to going, but it's not going to be possible this weekend. But
Yeah, I'm open to going back to the theater. I just don't know if I'll be able to this weekend. So
There's a new Netflix movie called The Devil Below that I liked. Well, I mean, I
Oh.
watched it. I don't know.
I watched
like,
that.
I heard mediocre things. No, well, I think Fear Street 1, the first one comes out this week.
crazy.
Yeah, that comes out. I watched The Devil Blow on Pornhub, but I think that was a different movie.
Earn an RE this week.
I'm
let's
crazy
figure it out.
excited. I'm crazy excited for those Fear Street movies.
I'm down. I want to watch that werewolves movie.
yeah,
for
that
sure.
too, that as well.
Yeah.
You
Well,
guys can do your R.L. Stein shit when I'm gone.
we'll
How
get
about
to it.
that?
Here's the fun thing: if you are, but it's Joe. It's directed by what's his face there? Hill House and what was the Shining prequel called?
I think
he produced it, but
I think he
still.
produced
Yeah,
it.
The
you're
tra-
not selling me on that. 'cause
Have you
that
seen
Hill
the
House
trailer?
garbage was
The trailer.
unwatchable.
The trailer looks really great.
Yeah, you should watch the trailer if you haven't seen it.
Wait,
It's pretty
are you
good.
talking about the first season of Hill House, Joe? You're calling
Yeah,
it
yeah,
unwatchable?
terrible.
Oh my
Refuse.
Oh, wrong.
I couldn't watch season 2 because
That
of
might be
like,
the most wrong opinion I've ever heard on anything.
We're not going to litigate this right now. Let's just.
Okay. And then he just disappears for 2 weeks after saying that.
if I want to watch a bunch of gaunt kids cry and complain, I would have gotten into My Chemical Romance, but I don't need to.
Okay. Anyway, so
Oh.
follow us on Twitter and get on Slack. We'll be letting you know what we'll be doing next week. And that's going to do it for Censor. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you then.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Black Parade, everybody.
Bye-bye.